Hi, my name is Grant Eric, and I'm going to talk a little bit about two subcultures of Colorado. If you take notice of the topographical map below, you will see the extremely varied terrain that is characteristic of Colorado. In the east, we can see mostly level, flat terrain, and as we shift our focus to the west, we can see a view of the Rocky Mountains. Since we are students at the University of Colorado, I would like to take a look at the subcultures of the eastern plains of Colorado and the western mountainous slope of Colorado. I would also like to suggest that these geographical differences have shaped the two unique subcultures of Colorado. So, the way we define a culture is defined by the practices, languages, symbols, beliefs, values, ideologies, and material objects that are part of that culture. And I chose the following to kind of define parts of Colorado culture. And I said general outdoors work and activity. The language that most of us speak is English. We recognize symbols such as animal crossing signs. When we're driving down a road, we oftentimes see a sign that has a deer on it, and we all recognize that that means to watch out for wildlife on the road. Generally, Colorado is a health conscientious state. I'm not sure about right now, but in the past, Colorado has been ranked fairly high in terms of healthy individuals in Colorado compared to other states. And a lot of Colorado uses machinery for its work. A lot of us have cars for transportation to and from other places. In eastern Colorado, they have a lot of farming equipment. And in the western slope, they have chairlifts and snowmobiles to do their work. So I identified three subcultures of Colorado. I had the eastern Colorado with the plains and a lot of farming and agricultural industry. The front range tends to be technology, and the western slope is kind of a tourism-driven industry, best known as an outdoors playground. I'm going to talk about the eastern plains of Colorado and the farming and agricultural industry as a subculture, and the western slope as another subculture. So to start out, we have the material subculture, and I'm going to use Steamboat Springs, Colorado, my hometown, as an example of the subculture of the western slope. Some of the physical attributes of Steamboat Springs is the mountains. The material subculture includes toys for playing outdoors, a lot of skis, bikes, snowmobiles. Chairlifts and gondolas are some of the machinery that we use. We have a very large snow removal infrastructure system, and we have many hotels for tourism. And some of the non-material subculture of Steamboat Springs, or the intangible part of the culture, is the outdoors attitude that is generally found here in Steamboat Springs. Most of the people are environmentally mindful. There seems to be an appreciation for nature and the place in which Steamboat Springs lives. And it's generally a fairly physically fit community due to the outdoors activity. Hi, I'm standing in my garage in Steamboat Springs right now, and I feel that my garage typifies a Steamboat Springs household garage with regards to our outdoor activities and outdoor lifestyles. As you can see, we've got quite a few mountain bikes in here right now, as well as golf clubs, a couple road bikes. We try to recycle some of our stuff. We've got a snowboard and a sled over here. Snowshoes, fishing poles, and more skis. So like I said, these material objects that are part of our subculture at Steamboat Springs represent our outdoor activity-minded lifestyle. And now the material subculture of the eastern plains of Colorado. The attributes of eastern Colorado is generally large flat terrain, which is very suitable to farming and agriculture. There's a lot of farming and agricultural equipment in eastern Colorado, such as tractors and combines. The landscape is dotted by windmills and oil rigs. There are oftentimes farmhouses and ranches on which the people that do this work live in. And there are a few highways for interstate transportation. And now the non-material subculture of the eastern plains of Colorado, or the intangible. Things we can't see in this culture. Generally, we think of farming as hard work to maintain the farm and land. I'm going to argue that it's a more loosely tied community due to larger distances that people have to travel in order to interact with others. And it is the opposite in eastern Colorado than it was in Steamboat Springs, because in Steamboat Springs, we approach the outdoors as a source of fun and activity, and we embrace it. And in the eastern plains, it seems to be more of a constant battle against nature. Farmers are constantly having to water their fields. They are constantly spraying to prevent insects from ruining their crops. And it's generally more of a job to fight against nature than it is in Steamboat Springs. So, in conclusion, I'm going to argue that these two subcultures formed through the geographical differences between these two locations. In Steamboat Springs, we have the mountains and all the activities that come along with them, and in the Eastern Plains, we have large, flat spaces that are much more suitable to farming and agriculture.